March 19, 2025 Charleston County Historic Preservation Commission meeting. If you would please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. We will just pledge.
To each other.
Yes, we will. I
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. This meeting has been noticed in compliance with the South Carolina Freedom of Information Act. This commission acts in review and recommending capacity for designations and removal of historic properties and districts. The commission also reviews proposed National Register of Historic Places nominations. The commission has the final decision-making authority on certificates of historic appropriateness. I would like to introduce myself. I am Millie Millar. I'm the chair of the Charleston County Historic Preservation Commission. To my right, I have Anna Johnson, Amy Gerard, Donna Gardner, and Dr. Michael Walsh. To my left, it's a little skewed here, we'll have Michael German, Pat Jones, Brent Halverson, and English Herteau. Also seated to my right, we have Assistant County Attorney Mark Bell. And seated to my left is Joe Evans, Director of Zoning and Planning. And Joe, would you please introduce your staff?
Yeah, Emily Fagan is here, Andrea Melissa White, Monica Eustace, I saw Kyle Foster here, and Spencer Antos, and Stephanie Ondo as well, and Carrie, I can't say your last name yet.
Vachet.
That's Joe.
Just didn't want to say it wrong. Carrie's brand new.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, three.
Welcome here. I would like to remind you that in order to get a good recording of the meeting for the minutes, please speak loudly and clearly into the microphones. The next agenda is the approval of the minutes from the February 19, 2025 meeting. Is there a motion and a second for approval?
I'm sorry, can you guys all push the buttons on your microphones and make them green?
Okay.
What happened?
There we go.
I move for acceptance of the minutes.
Might have to come closer to you if possible.
They project, I think they just get recorded.
Okay. All right. So you just go ahead. Would you repeat that, please?
Yes. Hello. I move for acceptance of the minutes.
Second.
Okay, there has been a motion and a second. Would we please have staff call the roll?
Commissioner Herteau?
Here.
No, for the approval of the minutes.
Approval of the minutes.
Aye.
That's
Aye,
aye.
sorry.
We know you're here.
Present.
Commissioner Walsh?
Aye.
Commissioner Halverson?
Aye.
Commissioner German?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Gardner?
Aye.
Commissioner Gerard?
Aye.
Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Chair Millar?
Aye. Thank you. The next agenda item is HIST-01-25-00128, a request for a certificate of historic appropriateness. And Emily, we will ask you to discuss, please.
Thanks very much. So this is a retroactive request for the construction of an exterior deck on an existing manufactured housing unit at TMS 583-00-00091, also known as 1651 Highway 41, and it is a property within the Phillips Community Historic District. Did want to note, Mr. Manchester brought it to our attention, the correct acreage is 1.34 acres, which you'll see reflected later in the plans. So as always, this slide shows all of the CHA applications the Commission has reviewed to date in the Phillips Community Historic District. The list is getting quite long. So the applicant describes that they have built a wraparound wooden porch on their mobile home. The deck is approximately 12 feet wide along the front and the side of the home, and then 30 feet wide at the rear. It is a total of 2,180 square feet, and it's made of pressure-treated lumber. The applicant describes that the deck does not increase the impervious surface coverage on the subject property since water can run through the structure to the ground. So here is the location of the subject property when we're looking at the county overall as a whole. And here is the subject property along Highway 41 when we're looking at the Phillips Community Historic District in whole. And then zooming in further, here you can see the location of the property at the corner of Isaiah Smalls Road and Highway 41. So we did receive 2 CHA applications within 500 feet of this subject property, and they were approved by the commission. So the first is the single-family dwelling across the street on Elijah Smalls Road, and then the Phillips Community Drainage Improvement Project also. So as we know, the Phillips community is a Reconstruction era South Carolina Commission platted community. And the district covers roughly 420 acres and was approved by County Council in 2021. So the subject property is zoned Special Management S3 and contains a manufactured housing unit and accessory structure. The future land use designation is Urban Suburban Cultural Community Protection. Surrounding properties to the northwest is undeveloped, and properties to the south are either in the county zoned S3 and contain single-family dwelling units, or are undeveloped, or they're within the town of Mount Pleasant, and they're zoned community conservation, which is its comparable zoning district, and contain single-family dwelling units. Properties to the northeast that are across Highway 41 contain single-family dwelling units or are undeveloped as well, and the subject property is in the shaded X and X flood zones. So here's an aerial view of the subject property. And these are images of the subject property. And these are photos of the neighboring properties along Highway 41. I did want to note that the neighboring property at 1669 Highway 41 contains an identified contributing resource, and it is remnants of the historic rice fields that were utilized within the Phillips community. And they were noted on the National Register listing. So these are photos of nearby contributing resources, so not necessarily directly adjacent to this property. And they're all significant for being historic homes. So here is the proposed site plan that shows the mobile home and the deck that was added to it, wraparound style. So regarding the compatibility of this request, the applicant is seeking approval for a 2,180 square foot wooden wraparound deck for a previously permitted 1,118 square foot manufactured housing unit. While there is a tradition of outdoor living spaces within the Phillips community, it typically comes in the form of covered front and side porches or rear decks and patios that are subordinate in size to the indoor living space. Although the applicant is proposing an outdoor wooden deck that is larger than the existing home, which is inconsistent with the existing fabric of the community, the request is not wholly incompatible with the historic, cultural, and architectural character of the Phillips Community Historic District. Moving on, although the applicant does not describe how the proposed site improvements do not decrease the historic integrity of properties containing identified contributing resources, staff does feel as though this criterion has been met. The closest contributing historic resource are the remnants of that historic rice field that I mentioned on the neighboring property, which is TMS 583-000090. And this particular rice field's use has been documented as far back as the 1760s. So with no additional impervious surface coverage, the wooden deck would not negatively impact that historic rice field. Additionally, the deck is not close enough to affect other nearby contributing resources, which include those historic buildings circa 1940s to 1960s that we just saw. Additionally, staff believes that no negative impacts to the Phillips Community Historic District have been identified as a result of this request. Therefore, we do believe that this criterion is met as well. And although the applicant did not provide relevant responses to all of the approval criteria, staff does believe that the application meets the approval criteria, and we are recommending approval. And we did receive 2 general comments about events going on in the property, not relevant to today's request. And we did, of course, notice this meeting as required. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. Appreciate your comprehensive report. At this time, are there any questions for staff from the commission members? Okay. Hearing none, we'll now hear public comment. Each speaker will be limited to 2 minutes. Please state your name and address before giving your comments.
And we had one speaker sign up. It was the applicant.
He didn't want to speak
Oh,
unless
Okay.
called upon.
Okay,
okay.
okay.
No speaking.
All right, so we don't have public comment. All right, before discussion, is there a motion and a second from commission?
I'll move to approve the request because I believe it meets the approval criteria in section 21-5I. The first criteria being proposed site improvements are compatible with the historic, cultural, and/or architectural character of the applicable historic property or historic district on the NRHP listing or designation by the county council, because there are other outdoor living areas in the district, and therefore it's compatible. As it pertains to the second criteria, the proposed site improvements do not decrease the historic integrity of the properties containing identified contributing resources. I would adopt the staff's recommendations in full that there is no negative impact from the outdoor living area on any adjacent contributing resource. And for the third criteria, I don't believe that there are, since there are no negative impacts, there are nothing to be minimized or mitigated.
Second. Your motion.
Okay. There has been a motion, and they say it has been seconded based on the criteria, approval criteria being met. Is there any discussion at this time? And I have a question, I believe. On this particular situation, I heard you mention, Emily, that the deck was larger than the actual dwelling. That's concerning to me because, again, we're talking about something that's supposed to be conducive to the surrounding properties. And I'm just curious, is there a specific reason that you're, trying to, are you going longer? Is it it's a double wide this property, this home? As far as the build on it?
So I wouldn't be able to answer why the applicant chose to build it at that size. It is a double wide.
Is this the applicant here?
It is.
I'm just curious, can you just kind of expand on why you're choosing to go a little bit bigger than the property? The dwelling itself?
I could build a giant house there if I wanted, but a few years ago, I decided just to be like the community and put a mobile home there. You gotta remember with COVID, everybody shoved into a little box. Everybody was trying to be away from each other. This was built before, 2018 in through 2021, 2022. So if you got 4 people and somebody's got COVID in the house, trying to get somebody outside was the best option at the time.
Okay,
So without shoving them on the lawn, I just figured that was a good idea.
Okay, so you just want a bigger living area in the outside?
Yeah,
Just
it's
trying to,
just an open deck, no roof on it or anything like that.
okay. Thank you for that, just curious.
I do have a question too.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just wondering then, if the homeowner decides that they want to put some kind of roofing or something like that over the open deck, then they would have to come back to,
This body.
Absolutely,
This
yes.
body, yes.
okay,
Great question.
okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, okay. I think at this point, we can take the vote.
Okay. Commissioner Hurtaud.
Aye.
Commissioner Walsh.
Aye.
Commissioner Halverson.
Aye.
Commissioner German.
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Commissioner Gardner.
Aye.
Commissioner Gerard.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones.
Aye.
Chair Millar.
Aye.
The motion passes.
Good luck with your deck. I hope that everyone enjoys that. And it's nice to get outside, I know, especially when you have 4 people in the house. All right, this is the final decision of the Historic Preservation Commission. If any person with a substantial interest in the decision of the Preservation Commission chooses to appeal the decision, they may do so in the Circuit Court of Charleston County. Such appeals shall be filed within 30 calendar days after today's date. Okay, I think that we had only one item today, if I'm not mistaken, and now we are just going to discuss some remarks, I think myself and then also Joel has, as far as our appointment to vote for a new chair and vice chair. That will be next month.
Yeah, I think
Before the meeting, or would we do that?
we'll set it up in the agenda. We can do it before the meeting starts if that's the way you want it on the agenda. But if you recall, last month, for the folks that were here, last month at y'all's meeting, you deferred your normal voting for chair and vice chair from today's meeting to April's meeting, so that we could get as much of a full body commission as possible. As you know, we've got a new commissioner that will be confirmed Tuesday night by county council. So hopefully everyone shows up at the April meeting, and then we'll have a good full vote for chair and vice chair next month. Yep. But we can put that, Chairman, we can put that on the, at the beginning of the agenda if you'd like. Yes.
Okay. So we will be voting for a new chair and new vice chair. So again, if you have interest, please express that. Otherwise, we will be reaching out to you.
Can we make a nomination for Chairman Millard?
I think that we'll wait and do
We'll wait
that.
till
We'll do
April.
that at the meeting next month.
It'll be taken up in April. Normally, it's at the March meeting, but at the last meeting, it was.
But you could build a list, right? Okay.
We didn't know whether English was going to be back. We did
Okay.
not know that Mr. Dukes would be in attendance. So I just thought that would be best served to have everyone in attendance for April. So we'll do that at the very beginning. And again, of course, hopefully we'll have a nice long list of applicants. Okay.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess the last item on the agenda is director's remarks. I don't have anything other than, well, number one, I'll say it. I know you got the reminders from Emily, but next Tuesday and Wednesday is our tour. So we're excited to see everybody then. One other thing I wanted to mention, we received 2 letters, staff did. One from the Preservation Society of Charleston and one from Dr. Dover, who is the president of the Red Top Improvement Association. I'm going to just give a brief synopsis of what these letters are about, and then I believe it's up to the commission's if they want to allow it, but Dr. Dover would like to address briefly the commission regarding the Tobin Boyd Elementary School in Red Top. It's an older elementary school there that is no longer active, but the structure is still there, and the use in the minds of the Red Top community really meant something to the community in the past. It is a structure or a property that is eligible to be on the National Register of Historic Places. It is not on the National Register of Historic Places, so therefore it is not currently folded into Charleston County's historic properties and districts. It doesn't have those protections. The Preservation Society and the Red Top community, they are pursuing it to go ahead and be on the National Register of Historic Places, and they want the county to write a letter in support of their efforts in protecting the school. Again, because it's not currently protected in our ordinance, there's a process to get there. So if for some reason if the commission wants to pursue going ahead and moving forward with a official correspondence from the county regarding the school, that's fine. However, if that is the will of the commission, that request needs to go to county council. And county council and the chairman of county council needs to decide whether or not they want to go through the process of writing this letter for protection. But you can make a recommendation to county council that is your will if that's what you want to do. But that's briefly, Emily, did I miss anything in the letter that you know?
They're going through the coastal consistency zone, so I don't know if you wanted to get, that's why it's coming up. It's being proposed to be developed.
Yeah, it is being, that's correct. That's a good point. It is being proposed to be developed under county's current zoning. It is in Charleston County, unincorporated Charleston County. There is a development plan. So it's sort of a little bit late maybe, but we will see. That's up to county council how they want to handle it ultimately. But anyway, if it's the will of the commission, I'll let y'all decide. If I know Dr. Dover wants to speak, possibly, if she can.
Yeah, I just
So-
want to add, the Tobin Boyd School was an equalization school, so very much like W. Gresham Megget on James Island. Those were the schools that were built during the 60s to provide separate but equal facilities for African American students. So that's
Yeah.
where that school.
I'm familiar with that, and I'm just wondering, so are we to decide on this today or next meeting?
I think,
I wasn't sure,
It sounds to me like time's of the essence.
so we should do it now?
yeah, possibly, yeah. And again, I know that Dr. Dover signed up to speak, but she wanted to speak only when this issue came up. So if you want to hear more directly from the Red Top community representative, maybe she might be able to fill in some more.
So she has time, there's still time for this.
Yes, there is. The Preservation Society is asking for a letter of opposition to the draft mitigation plan by Friday, March 21st. However, they turn around and state, however, they will take comments anytime during the review process. They're requesting the letter be done. And to be honest with you, I don't know that it will happen that fast, even if you make your decision today, that county council will be able to get a letter out that fast. So we can, however you want to do it, you know.
Well, personally, and I know you probably have a very strong opinion about this. Personally, I think that we should allow this, Dr. Dover the opportunity. So I don't know if it's something that I should,
It'd
start
probably be
with.
good if you
Yeah.
voted on it, since it's
And I
out
just-
of the normal.
Somebody, does somebody need to make the recommendation first, and then does it need to be seconded?
However you wanna do it.
Official recommendation for
Okay.
it. I'd like to recommend that we support the effort to put this on the historic
Okay.
preservation list. It is the only school in the county rural area that I know of that would be, holding this status, because we did W. Gresham make it as a high school, and this would be equivalent in the elementary school to have in Charleston County. So I think it's a great idea. I did try to do that before now, but it didn't go very far. So anyway, I think it's good for us to do that.
Do we need to have any other, does it need to be voted on, or is that just subject?
Equalization
recommendation?
school, do people need to know what that is?
Yeah, can you give us more
Yeah, sure.
detail
We'll
in
go back
that?
over that.
And not only that, I think we need to make a decision, because they want the properties being deemed for other use.
Correct.
Okay, to taking the school, removing the school and replacing it with a new building. I'd like to hear a little bit more on that.
Well, the equalization schools, were those schools built in 1953, 52, I think, after Brown versus Board of Education decision. Our governor at the time was trying to, before the vote, I think the governor was raising monies to upgrade the dilapidated schools in the rural and probably city areas, but I know the rural areas were complaining about all these terrible schools and wanted an upgrade, and so people wanted to be equal or have their own school built, and the governor passed this tax to get money raised to have equalization schools, and so the black schools would be equal to the white schools. That was the concept of it. And we were so happy to see a new school, of course, for everybody. Just jumped right in. Gresham Megget was one of those schools. We didn't have a high school at all in James Island. And some of the other islands, I think Johns Island at that time got a school in, in Hollywood, Ravenel area, was Baptist Hill. Baptist Hill was built around that time, but any of the schools that came between that, like 1952 to about I think 62, something like that, that period of time, they built those new schools. And we were so happy to be able to have the lighting from the windows, because a lot of times people have those little 1 and 2 room houses, for a school building, and heating was terrible, all of that. We didn't have air conditioners, but we did get, the heat in the schools. And so I think it's a good idea to have a history about the elementary school as well.
Great.
Definitely.
Okay, so I don't know what else we need to do other than that, but I say yes, and by all means, she should be able to speak.
Okay, so I think if it's the will of the body that it do get relayed to county council, to the chairman of county council, that something be written, it'd probably be good for this body to vote on it, on that.
That's,
Would the county write the letter, or would the commission write the letter and send it to the county making the request?
I would if we get the okay, then staff will probably write it on behalf of the commission.
All right, well, I move that we submit a letter of opposition to county council in support of keeping the Tobin Boyd School as is.
In allowing Ms.
Now-
Dover to speak.
Oh, yeah.
This is
Sorry.
in opposition, and I did say I support it. What is this?
So, it's a two, the ship.
Two things?
Well,
Yes.
it is two.
And we need to vote on,
We urge the commission to submit a letter of opposition to the draft mitigation plan. There is a development plan in process where the elementary school is. As part of their CZC process, that's the DHEC Coastal Zone Consistency. Since it is eligible to be on the National Register, SHPO, the state, through CZZ, is requesting that a mitigation plan be submitted, and there was a draft mitigation plan to address however they feel they're successfully addressing the issues to mitigate the development. It sounds like the Preservation Society is not happy with that mitigation plan, and so they are wanting the county to state that we are in opposition to the current mitigation plan that's in place, and basically support the preservation of the school.
so we should have 2 actions.
Can it be
Well-
inclusive?
Or
It can be inclusive.
Can be
yeah.
inclusive.
Yeah, I think it can be inclusive, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, so the motion has been made that we're allowing Ms. Dover to speak, to our commission.
Well, yeah, do you want to I haven't seen the vote yet on the letter.
No one seconded my motion.
Oh,
Okay.
I was just making sure we're clear on it.
Clarification on just what,
Yeah.
because you said a couple of things, and then I think you said oppose.
Well, all I did was pull from the last paragraph, that we urge the commission to submit a letter of opposition to the draft mitigation. And I'm in support of that.
I
Yeah,
second it.
Okay.
Okay.
So then we'll do separate,
Okay.
the other one.
for the speaking,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, there's a motion and there's a second.
That we're
Okay.
They will
submitting.
send a letter of opposition to the draft mitigation plan on behalf of
Correct.
county council?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Hurteau?
Well, any
Aye.
questions or discussion?
Well,
Oh, sorry.
yeah. Does anybody have any questions or discussion on this before we vote?
Before we vote, so
This is just in opposition to this situation right here, to let council be aware that we are in opposition.
Yeah, we're supporting the school staying
Staying
untouched.
out there.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is this part of Long Savannah, or are there development?
No,
It's
no,
outside of
it's
it?
beside Long Savannah,
It's
but it's
outside
not
of it.
part of Long
Right.
Savannah, correct.
But it is right.
Near it. Mhm. Yes.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. Go to vote.
Commissioner Hurteau?
Aye.
Commissioner Walsh?
Aye.
Commissioner Halverson?
Aye.
Commissioner German?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Gardner?
Aye.
Commissioner Gerard?
Aye.
Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Chair Millar?
Aye.
The motion passes.
Okay.
So now, the issue of Dr. Dover wanting to address the commission, I think that since it's speaking out of order of a case, it would probably take a vote of the commission to allow her to speak.
I move that we allow Dr. Dover to address the commission.
I'll second it.
There's been a motion and a second to allow Dr. Dover to address the commission. Will this take place at our next meeting? Or will this take place? Yes, it will.
Right now.
Oh.
She's here.
Oh,
She
wow.
wants to speak.
Yeah.
That's why I kept bringing it up.
Look at you, be her man.
That's why I kept bringing it up. I thought you might have wanted her to talk before, but you went right into the beat.
Okay. Well, bring, jeez, okay. All right.
Now that makes sense. I was like, she's here.
Okay, listen, by all means,
You want to hear her before you make your
we shouldn't talk about her since she's right here, but is there any discussion before we not take the vote to hear her stance? Okay, hearing none.
Commissioner Hurtaud?
Aye.
Commissioner Walsh?
Aye.
Commissioner Halverson?
Aye.
Commissioner German?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Commissioner Gardner?
Aye.
Commissioner Gerard? Aye. Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Chair Millard?
Aye.
The motion passes. Dr. Dover, you might, yeah.
Welcome, Dr. Dover. Would you introduce yourself and your address, please, and where you reside?
I will.
Thank you.
I think they stole your thunder by your the previous vote.
Wow.
Good afternoon. My name is Melody Dover, and my address is 645 Hughes Road, Johns Island, South Carolina, 29455. And I do appreciate you all your vote on both. This project is so very vital and important to the Red Top community. The Tobin Boyd Elementary School is an equalization school. It was built back in 1960. This is the school that every child that was of age during that time attended, included me, myself. I was the last person, the last age group that attended Tobin Boyd. Tobin Boyd, we want to preserve because it is nationally eligible for historic reasons, but we want to preserve because that was a place that we can go when we couldn't go anywhere else. Even though it was a time of equalization, it was not equal. We faltered and fight very hard just to obtain an education so that I can give back and so many others can give back to society. The reason DR is in front of my name is because of Tobin Boyd. And those teachers who got books that was used, second-handed, that they that got demotions for trying to fight just to give us an education, that their salary was much more lower than their counterparts. I can go on and on and on and on. But Tobin Boyd is a part of our community. I live on Hughes Road. Tobin Boyd is right at the end of that road. And for years, I've been just really focused on, trying to survive and strive and do better in life and to help pull somebody else up. And finally, I got to a point where I am now retired and I wanted to give back. And I kept looking at Tobin Boyd, and Tobin Boyd was one of our projects. Actually, it is in our bylaws to try to preserve it in our community, way before this even came up. But so many things are going on in the community and so limited resources, you have to number them. So one of the things that we were able to do almost immediately was to get a historic marker. A grant came in. This office was so kind to name Emily, and we applied for it and we got it. The marker sits in my garage right now, unopened. Why? Because once we got eligible for it, like almost immediately, and we had to find where we're going to put it. We learned right around that time that the property was sold. So we were going to really ask the owner to let us put the marker there. Then we decided, okay, well, we'll put it on the side of the street, on the easement of SCDOT easement. contacted them. Oh no, you have to come to Charleston County, to your municipalities and talk with them. We went back and we went forth, and we went back and we went forth. And all the reason now I realize was because of politics. Why we can't even put up the marker. I was told, find a neighbor nearby and put the sign there. Really? So we appreciate what you're doing. If you can get this letter through, we are going to fight. This is not new to us. We're always fighting. We're fighting for everything that we can get that is going to benefit and help move our children, not just our children, but whatever impacts me, it impacts you. I promise. In one way or the other. So we ask you to please, the letter is the beginning, but to support us. This community love Totem Boy. It's etched in our DNA. Every good thing about it and every bad thing. Because that period impacts who I am and who each one of them, who they are. In some of the most damaging ways that you all could never imagine. Thank you. Support us, work with us, and whatever we can do, whatever you need, we are here. I am here. You can do it. I don't want to talk long because it's an emotional topic. Thank you.
Dr. Dover, what's the condition of the building right now?
Well, we look at it, and of course we're biased, but we looked at it forever. And we said, wow, that's such a great building. We just did not have the resources or the finances to do something with it.
What's it like right now? What's the condition?
It looks good to me. And just recently, we've had some Clemson students. We're working on becoming historic, and it doesn't align with what we're trying to do with the community. We're working to become a historic designated district as well. Yeah. We just recently worked on our ACA with the Clemson students, and that's pretty much completed. And so when the college, we had archaeologists out there, and they were looking at the building, and they were saying, oh man, this building is so fantastic, it's in such great shape. So we're going out on Friday with the Preservation Society, this Friday, and they're gonna look at the building. Even though the mitigation plan from the developers is saying that it's not a feasible building to keep, they want to demolish it, they send us no proof, provided no proof of that. And so we're asking, but in addition to that, no one ever contacted or said anything to us, and of course not, that's not unusual. But for something that is so important, it's just respectful and a courtesy to try to.
Question.
Yes.
How long has that school been in private ownership? Do you know?
It was originally Charleston County Schools, and I think Charleston County School, I don't know exactly, maybe 20 years. Mm-hmm. I don't know for sure. But Charleston County Schools sold it, and they sold it to a private person that does not live here. My understanding is they're in California and Nevada, and they recently sold it to these developers.
Okay. But there's no date for demolition, correct? Right this second?
Not to my knowledge.
That's
but they are trying to apply for whatever they could apply for. I don't know all the process, but I think whatever we need to do it quickly.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, agreed.
I have a question for you. So the qualification for the school still to be on the historic registry is because of the design of the building? Because I know when I saw the brick was still there and the windows, so is that a part of the?
I think that's a big part of it. It was built back in 1960, and you can see the four
The whole-
corners of the building. Yeah.
So if it gets on the National Register, can it still be demolished?
Well, if it was on the National Register, it would come to this body.
Okay.
Because everything
we
that's
would
on the
vote on
National
that, but
Register,
still.
everything's on the National Register or designated by Charleston County as historic. That's when this body, right, as of today, this body has no authority over the property. And because of the way our ordinance is written, it's only eligible.
Right.
And
But I'm saying if we get it, if they were able to get it listed on the National Register
And-
in an
and
Or even
expedited fashion.
designated. I mean, she just said that she's,
Still request a demolition.
okay.
yes,
But then it would have to come to
come to this
us.
body,
Okay,
correct,
got
yes.
it.
Now, it's a little tricky. There is a subdivision application in
Yeah,
for
right
this
there.
property. That's why the applicant, the current property owner is going through this process of getting the coastal zone consistency. That's a standard procedure for development of a piece of property. Luckily, when this went through to the state, they did recognize because it's eligible. They
Right.
said, hey, we know this isn't on the National Register, but it is eligible. Give us a mitigation plan of how you're going to deal with this school. Dr. Dover, am I saying this right?
Yeah,
Okay.
and the mitigation, this is their mitigation plan. Their mitigation plan is to provide us with oral history. Well, who are you gonna get the oral history from?
Right.
And to give us signage. I have signage sitting in my garage that I can't put up. But they also included brochures. But I can do brochures too.
In a minute. Yeah.
And that's
Yeah,
the mitigation
right.
plan.
That don't seem like much
That-
to me.
that doesn't sound
Well,
For a
it
building.
is-
Yeah.
it's not equivalent by far. No.
So this will be up, that's why this is up to county council to decide. We will relay, the commission has voted, we will relay to the chairman of the situation, and he will be the one to decide whether or not to, engage in this letter of opposition to the mitigation plan, right?
I just got one question.
Uh-huh.
Do you know the timelines when the county sold the property?
It wasn't, the county, I'm sorry.
It was Charleston County.
Sounded like you said 20 years ago.
Charleston County, it probably, I don't know, I honestly.
Oh, wow. Okay, way
I
back.
I happened to be looking the other day. I think it was in the 90s.
90s? Okay.
Yeah, and then a single owner had it.
Yeah, well, Charleston County did sell it to the single owner.
Yeah.
At
and
some
then
time.
he
Charleston
sold
County
it.
School District.
Charleston
Yeah.
County School
St.
District.
Right.
Andrews
Right.
School or something
Yeah.
was the name.
Huh.
Okay.
St. Andrews School District. I don't know what that is.
Okay, well, yeah.
Well, it's St. Andrews Parish.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was always Charleston County Schools, should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can get that exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody
so
have
much.
any other?
Thank you.
All right, I think that's everything.
I didn't have anything else. Oh, Emily had one, she wanted to,
I want
Say
to direct, I know I mentioned it earlier, kind of gave it away during the presentation, but I was made aware today that the Hebron Center, which was our very first Charleston County designated historic property, where Pastor Pat works, is going on for the National Register
Nice.
nomination this Friday at the State Board. So that's huge. So we're really excited to see that.
Awesome.
It'll be news to me.
Well, I would
Thank
again,
you.
I know that
Thank
we
you.
already mentioned this also, but I would also like to say again, Dr. Walsh, thank you for your service. Happy trails and hope you enjoy your retirement. And I know you have some other things on your plate, so it's not just retirement.
It's been real.
It's been real. It's been quite the adventure.
Your term's up?
Well, he is leaving us.
Oh.
Okay. And that being said, I think you were maybe not here. We introduced Mr. Joseph Dukes, who will be taking his that's right, Mr. Walsh's spot. He will be with us next month.
Okay.
So that's why we're all transitioning, so that we'll vote next month for our new leadership.
Okay.
Okay. All right, well then again, thank you again for your service, Mr. Walsh. All right, well, that being all, if there's no further business, this meeting of the Charleston County Historic Preservation Commission stands adjourned. The commission will hold its next regularly scheduled meeting on April 16, 2025 in council chambers. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
For bearing with us.